Alright, just to set the scene, got my power supply in the left hand corner. That's a variable one. It's like 2 amps and 18 volts I think maxes out at. Then up here I've got my personal stock of LEDs, clips, connectors, heat shrink, solder, all that kind of stuff. Over in that stack there is all the Jupiter specific stuff, and then I got some reference books there. I can't recommend enough the CMOS cookbook if you are to get into doing any timer chips like I want to do eventually. It's a great one to have if you see it around on eBay or something. So the soldering station is set. As of last week I had tried a 10K LED or a 10K resistor on the red LED, and that was just a little too dim, so I'm going to go with 5Ks on these. If I have to, I can always add 1 or 2K, but I don't think I will. It's better to use the value that you got rather than wiring two together, because it produces a little more heat, gets everything a little hotter, which is never a good thing if you can avoid it. But if you got to do it, you got to do it, and I think this monstrosity here definitely shows that. Whatever the addition of all the chains of resistors is here, definitely going with a single resistor of the appropriate value, even if it's like 1 million or something, would be the way to go. I expect it would be in the 10,000s. There's no way to know. I'd have to take the whole thing apart, and that's not happening. That will get installed soon enough. It's not going to interfere with the fiber optics for now, if I leave it out. And all I got to do now is pull out some LEDs and start some soldering for a bit. Alright, so it turns out that both of my camera batteries were next to dead. So I charged this one for about an hour, and I got the other one on there. So I'll let this one run as long as it can, and that'll give the other one a good chance to charge. So basically all I did was to solder a bunch of LEDs, and instead of going with the white glue, I decided to go with a dab of CA, and those are all held in there. And all the ends, my basic plan is to solder all of those together where they connect and wire all the rest, flatten them down as much as possible, and basically build the circuit onto the floor itself, or the ceiling I guess it would be. So that's the basic plan. I've got a bunch soldered up already, as I mentioned, but I want to pull out some 5mm LEDs, because these are some bigger tubes, and the size difference is just a little too much. It'll be very easy for LEDs to slide past, or fiber optics to slide past the edge of the LED in there and not get lit at all. And the 5mm should help that out. I don't have a lot of straw hat, only like 3 or 4 of each, so I'm going to go with regular 5mm round up there. And those are just about a perfect fit for these tubes. So I need 2 red, 2 yellow, 2 warm, 2 orange. And that is it. The odd colors, the single green and the single blue, are up here on this one. And then it's the 4 standard colors of red, orange, yellow, and warm. So let me set the camera up. To conserve the battery until I've got a full charge on the other one, I'll shoot here and there and just get some of the important stuff as I go along. I've tried to get as much of the fiber optic out of the way as I can. So I went with a mix of 3mm and 5mm. There were a couple cases where I didn't have the color of 5mm at all. That was the case of warm and yellow. The very particular yellow that I found is a little lighter than amber, which is, for comparison, if you've bought one, the Modeler's brand LED pack contains amber, not really yellow like a pale gold yellow. Over the years of buying LEDs from different vendors, there's different batches, and every now and then the nanometer range on the LEDs is always different. So I actually have 4 whites, whereas Modeler's brand can only reliably sell 2. But anyhow, so the warm and yellows were all 3mm. I did go to 5mm on the orange and reds for these guys, and then all of those were 3mm as well. So the process was just simple. All I did was dab a bit of glue on the end of the LED, stick it in the tube and let it set. I gave them all a tug just a few seconds ago to make sure that all was well. And the idea here is to take these 4 ends. Oh, this one just break loose? Nope, feels like it, but no. So I'll take all 4, there it is. So I just got to re-glue this one now. So, as I am trying to say, take all 4 of these ends, solder them together into single point, the same with those ends. Then I'll just run some lines between all 3 of them to get them all powered up. That'll be the simplest way to go about it and use the least amount of wire, as opposed to running leads off of each one of these to a central bus. And if any one of them goes out, that won't be a problem because the power will still continue on to the next one overall. So yeah, at this point I just got to plug all the fibers in, I suppose. Yeah, I think that's it. And we can power it up. So I'll shut the iron down for now and let me think a minute and I'll get back to the camera.